Hello and welcome to another edition of Trotsky or Bust, Thursday, September 28th. I want to discuss a couple of things. I do later on want to talk about something interesting on the Chris Matthews show's Hardball yesterday that he said that I do not believe, but it's about Jill Stein and how he invited her on his program. I just don't believe it. But the main topic I want to discuss today is the Trump tax cuts. Hopefully, no one's going to call it tax reform anymore. It's just a straight giveaway to the rich. If you're wondering why Trump ran for president, well, this is it. He wants to give himself a really, really nice tax cut, and he'll probably end up doing just that. It's basically what he's going to do is get rid of the estate tax that only affects people. It affects 1 in 500 families. It's got to be individually. If it's less than 5.5 million, couples 11 million. That means that if you inherit $6 million, you're taxed the estate tax not on $6 million, but on the 6 million minus the 5.5, which only is half a million. So this really hurts very few people to tax. It does Donald Trump. It does affect him when he dies. He wants to leave as much as he can to his kids, and this will enable him to do so. What will happen is they will cut it. At some point, the Democrats will come back in power and they'll raise it, but they won't raise it back up to where it is now. So it's this is how we've had this happen over the years. Republicans raise taxes, Democrats bring it back, but not to the same point, and we've created this $21 trillion deficit, mainly by Republicans. Anybody who calls Republicans fiscal conservatives should not be discussing politics. They're just too stupid to be. Okay, I'm no fan of the Democrats, but Republicans are the party of big deficits, and to call them fiscal conservatives is just idiotic at best. All right. Another thing Trump is lowering is the alternative minimum tax, which means that someone like himself, a developer, instead of paying 4%, which is way less than everybody else, considering he's making millions of dollars, he had to pay a certain minimum, all right, that government forces you to pay regardless on what deductions you can take. So this will help him big time, bigly. And how he's going to counter it is he's simply going to lie. He's going to say no. He's just going to straight out lie. And a lot of his supporters will believe him. Remember, a lot of his supporters, Republicans, despite what Democrats try to tell you, Republicans earn more money than Democrats. Okay, Democrats, I know they hate the working class. Chuck Schumer even said so last campaign, as much as they want to rid themselves of the working class, the deplorables. That's their base. The Republican base makes more money, so they'll probably benefit a little bit from this tax cut. Certainly the people at the very top will. The Democrats, their donors will certainly benefit from it, so don't expect Democrats to put up much of a fight. They'll just act like they're opposing it, but you need to compromise. We have to compromise, even though it blows a hole in the deficit, even though it's going to increase income inequality, because that's just what we need. It's going to deprive the government of funds that is needed for other things like education. Can't afford education, okay? Can't afford that, can't afford healthcare. But huge tax cuts, how are we going to pay for it? No one is going to ask that question. How we pay for it doesn't apply to tax cuts, doesn't apply to defense. Okay? That's how it works. It only applies to things that help working people. So the Democrats are not going to put up a fight. We have to get them here. Okay? One Democrat voting for this tax reform, no matter what happens, is one too many. This has to be a Republican-only bill. All right? All this does is going to just destroy create greater income inequality, and all that blow a hole in deficit, all that money is going to go to the rich. None of it. In fact, he's raised the tax rate a little bit on lower incomes, but he did increase the deduction. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But obviously he's going to lower it on himself. He's going to lower it on corporations, because everyone knows corporate tax rates are too high. Really? Really? In the 50s, about a third of federal government revenue came from corporate taxes. Today, it's about a tenth. All right? Anybody who tells you corporate taxes are too high is telling you they don't give a shit about this country, plain and simple. All right, you have to call him. No one does. The only person who did was Bernie Sanders, but he's not a real Democrat. Like that's a bad thing. Um, as far as small businesses, it's not going to help him. 96% of small businesses already pay 25% or less. Okay, so Trump is just full of shit. No, they don't give a shit about Trump, about small businesses. If they did, the best thing you can do for small businesses is universal health care. That would be a great equalizer. Nah, they don't give a shit about small businesses. The key is we have to get the Democrats. We really do. We have to primary anybody. This has to be another one of the litmus tests. If you're for this, you're against America. Okay, that's the loser here. The United States of America is the one loser. The winners are the very rich and Trump. Trump's base, to their credit, some of them, the Drudge Report, the Drudge Report called it a betrayal. They took that down, but still, they know that this is harmful. Now, will he lose his supporters because of this? Remember, when Obamacare came out, a lot of Democrats stayed with Obama. Even though it was a crappy conservative bill, it was still their guy. Trump is still their guy. Give them time, okay? He's going to lose them, okay? They're going to figure him out at some point. I mean, those of them, lower income ones will. Those with higher income will love this. What do they care? But this is just terrible. This is a terrible tax cut, and Trump's just going to lie about it, right? And every Republican, who lies about it has to be held accountable. And if every Democrat who tries to compromise with him has to be held accountable too. This is not acceptable. This is a big deal. This is a huge deal. Okay, it's going to I don't know what the deficit's going to be. I heard from 2 to 7 trillion, which means it'll be more like $10 trillion. And yeah, no one's going to ask how you're going to pay for it. We got to do something. Next, I do want to talk a little bit about Chris Matthews. I was watching his show yesterday, and of course they're talking about the Russians. The Russians interfered with the election by advertising on Facebook. They put in about $100,000. $100,000. Let's see, Hillary put in had a $1 billion campaign. 100,000. 100,000 is 1% of 1% of a billion. Another way of looking at 100,000 goes into a billion 10,000 times. All right? There are 10,000 100,000s in a billion. But that's the reason Hillary lost. That's their news excuse. The Russians advertised on Facebook, and then she lost. Ooh, this airplanes. Yeah, they have an air show here in Huntington Beach, California. It's we've got to show off our weapons. We're paying for it. Might as well see them. We're guided by the beauty of our weapons, or some bullshit like that. God. Anyhow, Chris Matthews said that, he showed a picture of Jill Stein sitting there next to Putin. But she will not come on his show, so he claims. He claims that he invited her on his show last year during the election, and neither she nor Gary Johnson showed up. I find that really hard to believe. Really hard to believe. I mean, that she who got almost no free publicity, she's going to reject free publicity like that. I don't believe it. If anybody, Green Party, please let's verify this. Let's call this lying son of a bitch out, okay? Chris Matthews he's on their side. He's never on our side. Let's call him out on here. Let's see if he's lying about this, and let's call out his lie. That's it real quick. It's my show. If you have anything to say, please leave comments or like it or dislike it. And please subscribe. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And you can watch me whenever you want. Okay, and here, I don't know if you can hear the airplanes in the background. God, we need more weapons. All right? Peace out. Trotsky out. Bye.